Hi everyone, thanks for checking out the latest video forecast. I'm forecasting Nathan Kitchens. Happy first day of meteorological summer, and of course today is also the first day of the Atlantic hurricane season, and we could actually see a little bit of tropical activity developing late this week and into the upcoming weekend, and I will talk more about that later on in the video forecast. Let's start by looking at some of the weather highlights. We are tracking a flash flooding threat through tomorrow morning across portions of the northeast and mid-Atlantic. These areas have been getting in on some much needed rainfall. May turn out to be a very dry month for these areas and a very warm one, and in some cases the warmest month ever recorded in a few locations in Massachusetts. So warm, and along with the warm temperatures we saw a lack of rainfall. Some of these areas getting in on some moderate drought, so not much rainfall over these areas over the past month, but the rainfall over the weekend and over the past couple of days certainly have provided some big time relief to these areas. So some good news, but the problem is we have a very moisture logged atmosphere, and these storms are producing some very heavy amounts of rain in a short period, and that's going to continue to be a concern throughout tonight as another system pulls on through, providing potential for some more heavy rainfall to these areas. And also it's going to be an unseasonably chilly start to the month of June in the northeast. Now these areas, again, some of these areas that saw the warmest May on record, starting off the month of June today, feeling more like March. So we saw quite the turnaround in temperatures. In fact, Boston struggled to get out of the upper 40s for highs today, and that's after being well into the 80s, near 90 a couple days ago. So what a big change for those areas, and it looks like cool temperatures will be sticking around over the next several days, and this cool air is going to sink down into the mid-Atlantic as well as we get through the middle part of the week. And severe weather is going to be possible this evening across portions of the northern Rockies and the northern plains. As we have a cold pocket of air aloft, we're going to see flooding rains possible in western Montana, northern Idaho, and northeast Washington. Certainly some very heavy rainfall producing storms are going to be possible. We have to watch for some mudslides in this area as well anytime we get heavy rain, so definitely want to be mindful of the heavy rain potential tonight and into early tomorrow. Severe storms will be possible tomorrow and Wednesday across portions of the central and northern plains. It's going to be an active week across the southeast U.S. with rounds of showers and storms. And here's the good news, the good highlight here. A much needed break in the rain for portions of Texas, and as the jet stream shifts northward. Now Texas certainly saw some unbelievable, unprecedented amounts of rainfall over the past month. And the good news is we have a pattern change setting up where we have a ridge of high pressure setting up over this area. The jet stream is shifting northward. The jet stream is going to provide active weather across portions of the central and northern plains throughout the next few days. And certainly as we head throughout the month of June, we would expect, as the jet stream continues to shift northward, the main focus for severe weather shifts northward as well. And that's certainly what we're seeing as we start the month of June. And we have a resultant trough in the jet stream over portions of the southeast and into the eastern U.S., and that's going to provide the active weather for those areas this week. And let's look at the severe weather potential as we head into Tuesday. We're going to have a slight risk of severe storms across portions of the northern and central plains. We have a marginal threat setting up from western Texas into northern Minnesota, and also an area that's under a marginal threat across portions of the southeast United States. The main threats on Tuesday across the northern and central plains will be for some large hail and damaging winds. Even a few tornadoes certainly look possible later on tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening, so you definitely want to be weather aware. And here I posted the probabilities for severe weather from the Storm Prediction Center. I like the probability map better to give you a really good idea where the highest potential looks to be setting up for that severe weather. And you can see the areas that are under a 15% risk here. That's where we have go back to my slide here. That's where we have a slight risk in place. In the black hatched area, that's the area under the greatest potential, where we have the greatest likelihood for severe storms to set up on Tuesday. The 5% area represents the area under that marginal threat. And you can see the marginal threat here across portions of the central and northern plains, and also across portions of the southeast U.S. as well. And like I said, we definitely got to watch for potential for some tornadic activity as some supercells develop later on tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening across this area, across the Dakotas, and even into Nebraska as well. And across the southeast U.S., we're going to see storms developing, especially with that daytime heating. The storm's really beginning to bubble up. Some gusty winds. Can't rule out a few isolated, what we call wet. There's the dry and a wet microburst. This would be a wet microburst where we see heavy precipitation. Can't rule out a few wet microbursts in these storms tomorrow afternoon, but severe weather focus certainly won't be in the southeast. The main focus for severe weather, by all means, will be across the northern and central plains on Tuesday. And heading into Wednesday, we're going to see this disturbance that's shifting farther eastward, and we're going to see a slight risk in place across portions of the central plains, and even an enhanced threat across this area as well on Wednesday. And we're going to see the potential for supercellular storms. The atmosphere certainly looks capable to produce some tornadic activity, as we do see pretty strong mid and high level winds from the southwest direction, and a deepening surface low across the south central high plains. We're going to see a decent setup for some severe weather activity. We can certainly set up where we could see a few tornadoes setting up Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday evening, especially in this enhanced area right in here across portions of northeast Colorado, southwest Nebraska, and northwest portions of Kansas on Wednesday. You can also see a continued marginal threat across the southeast states. This is where that boundary stays in place throughout the week. We're going to see a continuation of the active weather in those areas as well. And there's going to be a potential for some isolated instances of damaging winds and maybe even some hail in a few of these storms. We're going to see lower than average freezing levels, so hail cannot be rolled out in some of these storms across the southeast U.S. But I think the main threat, if anything, will be damaging winds for those areas. I also posted a 3-day rainfall potential from the NOAA Weather Prediction Center. You can see where the heaviest rain does look to set up over the next few days. Very active across the southeast U.S. Now this is good news because we need the rain in these areas. But the problem is, it's a moisture-loaded atmosphere. We get very heavy storms that set up, torrential downpours, some cases 3 inches of rain an hour. Obviously, 3 inches of rain an hour is going to cause problems no matter how you put it. And flash flooding is going to be the concern over the next few days. You can see as we head into tonight and tomorrow, we have this area of low pressure currently sitting across portions of the Ohio Valley. This is going to shift towards the mid-Atlantic throughout the rest of this evening. And into tonight, this low pressure will be moving up the east coast, providing heavy rainfall potential. So through tomorrow morning, that's going to be your main time frame to watch for some flash flooding across the eastern seaboard here, across the Cape and Islands. And you can see that focus for heavy rain this is going to be over the next few days from across portions of Virginia and North Carolina. This is where we could see 2 to 4 inches of rain in some of these storms. Really across a widespread area, we should see a good 2, 3, and in some cases more than 3 inches of rainfall over the next few days. And you can see also across the upper Midwest and through the Pacific Northwest. I mentioned a flash flooding potential tonight and into early tomorrow across portions of western Montana and northern Idaho and northeast Washington. This is where we could see anywhere from 1 to 2 plus inches of rainfall over this fairly short period. So we do have to watch for some flooding in these areas through here as this disturbance pushes eastward throughout the day tomorrow. We will have the potential for some storms setting up across the central and northern plains. Also could see a decent amount of rainfall in some of these storms. And over the next few days, as we head into Wednesday, we're going to continue to see that severe weather threat setting up in this area through here. And this is the map through Thursday evening. We could see anywhere from 1 to 2 inches of rain in a lot of these areas through here. Again, this runs from this evening through Thursday evening, the rainfall potential. This comes from the NOAA Weather Prediction Center. And also, in this video forecast, I wanted to talk about first I'm going to talk about the Eastern Pacific tropical activity. Then I'm going to move on to talk about the Atlantic hurricane season and the potential for any development coming up over the next several days. First off, let's look at the Eastern Pacific. We do have some tropical activity going on. We have a major hurricane here, Hurricane Andres, out here in the Eastern Pacific. This system is not going to provide any harm to any land, so that's certainly the good news. This thing will stay out in the open water, and Andres is expected to weaken. It's already weakening right now. Already noticing some warmer clouds, warmer cloud tops, increasing temperatures in those cloud tops on the infrared imagery, sign of weakening. And we're expecting this system, this hurricane, to continue to weaken, and eventually will drop down back to tropical storm status within a couple of days. Now, Blanca, on the other hand, is actually going to continue to strengthen. It officially, as of 2 o'clock today, I believe, became a tropical storm. And once we get into, certainly by Wednesday, this thing will be, or I should say, by tomorrow, Blanca is expected to become a hurricane. And it could affect portions of southwest New Mexico or southwest Mexico as we get towards the weekend. Certainly, these outer rain bands could affect some of these areas, including the San Lucas, Cabo San Lucas area, and eventually Blanca could affect the southwest United States with some very heavy rainfall by early next week. So the potential is there, and it's something we got to keep in mind. It's certainly something to watch over the next several days. And I posted this beautiful thermal, this infrared image. This is Hurricane Andres. Again, Andres was at its peak last night and this morning as a major hurricane here. But this system is already weakening and it will continue to weaken. But what a beautiful, beautiful structure on the storm. That is a beautiful looking eyewall here. But again, as we head through the next few days, that system will be weakening. And here's Blanca, the expected track of Blanca. And again, as of 2 o'clock today, officially on the map here, it's a tropical storm. By 11 a.m. tomorrow, it's a hurricane. And by 11 a.m. Thursday, this thing will reach major hurricane status. Major hurricane status meaning winds of 111 miles per hour or greater, reach that Category 3 status or higher. And heading into Thursday and into Friday, that's when it's going to be a major hurricane. And then once we get past Friday, it's going to become back to just a hurricane where we see the winds die up a little bit. System weakening ever so slightly here. And again, we're going to have to watch later on this weekend. This thing could affect portions of the Cabo San Lucas area here in southwest Mexico. And eventually the system will be pushing northward into portions of the southwest United States. Could certainly affect those areas, but maybe some heavy rainfall early next week. So something to keep in mind and watch as we get closer in time. And I wanted to talk about the Atlantic hurricane season. We know today is the official start of the Atlantic hurricane season. And here's the NOAA forecast. El Nino is going to certainly play a role in this hurricane season, as we do expect a lower than average amount of storms. We expect between 6 and 11 total named storms. The average is 12. Between 3 and 6 hurricanes. The average is 6. Is between 0 and 2 major storms. Major storms meaning Category 3 or higher when winds reach 111 miles per hour or greater, or 96 knots or higher. So it is expected to be a below normal hurricane season across the Atlantic. But I don't want you to just look at these numbers, because these numbers don't tell the story. Because just because it's going to be quieter than normal hurricane season does not mean that we do not need to be prepared, of course, for the hurricane season, because it only takes one storm to completely change things here. And excuse me, we've looked in the past at different seasons where we have seen a lower than average amount of storms, and there still are many, many years where we'll still see 1 or 2 storms make landfall here in the U.S. and provide major catastrophic damage. So just because we're expecting a lower than average amount of hurricanes and systems throughout this Atlantic hurricane season does not mean we can does not mean that we do not need to be fully prepared for the potential of a hurricane to reach landfall and make impact here to the United States. So definitely keep that in mind. Don't just look at these numbers and think that you do not need to be concerned or prepared, of course, for the upcoming hurricane season. And I also talked about the potential for some possible tropical development here in the Atlantic as we get towards later on this week and into the weekend. Now, most of the models are now locking in on a tropical system in some way, shape, or form sometime between later on this week and into the weekend. A system developing here off the coast of Florida here in the eastern Atlantic, or here in the Atlantic, I should say. You can see by Saturday evening, this thing on the Canadian model is showing a 986 millibar low pressure. So the GFS is showing this too, but it's not. Obviously, the models are varying on the strength and the track. Right now, this thing is forecast to stay away from the mainland U.S., but of course, that's something we do need to monitor as we get closer in time. And of course, the strength of the system, of course, is going to be still very much up in the air over the next several days, as the system will not be developing until later on this week. Now, I also didn't post a slide for it, but I wanted to briefly mention something that's going on in India. We actually have a major heat wave that has occurred in that area. we've had 2,000 plus deaths, fatalities from the heat, and the heat expected to continue over the next several days. Just brutal stuff here, with temperatures in the 100s. The good news is we have the monsoon season kicking in for these areas, and the good news is the seasonal monsoonal rains will bring relief to these areas. Now, I will mention one thing. I know I keep saying random things, kind of going off subject here, but monsoon actually doesn't mean a rainy season. The definition, we use the definition of monsoon as a seasonal reversal in winds. Now, during the winter season, late in the fall and in the winter, as the intertropical convergence zone shifts southward and as the Siberian high forms across portions of Siberia and continues to strengthen, what happens is as the high forms, we see offshore flow in this region, and what happens is we see dry air coming in from the land, and this tends to provide a dry season for these areas. Now, once we get into June and July and August, the summer season for these areas, what happens is we see onshore flow. And as we get that onshore flow of winds, that's when we do see that return of moisture and the return of the monsoonal rains that we see during the summer months. So just wanted to kind of throw that in here, that the definition of monsoon, the word monsoon does not mean a rainy season. The actual technical definition is a seasonal reversal in winds. So kind of throwing in some random things here, but anyway, that is the latest video forecast. Thanks for watching. Hope you all have a great evening and a great rest of your week ahead, and we'll try to keep you updated as far as the severe weather potential is concerned over the next couple of days. Thanks for watching.